Lena's hands trembled as she held the letter, the weight of the words inside pressing against her chest. She hadn't expected anything more from Arthur, just a clean break, 10 million in her account, and a future where she could pretend he never mattered. But as she unfolded the letter, his handwriting, rough yet familiar, stared back at her. "I never wanted to let you go." Her breath hitched. She should stop reading. She should throw it away, burn it, pretend she never saw it. But she couldn't. "If you're reading this, then I failed. I couldn't make you believe that you were everything to me. I don't blame you. I should have told you sooner, should have fought harder. But if you've already walked away, I hope this at least reaches you, even if it's too late." Her vision blurred. Too late, was it? The money sat untouched in her account, a cruel reminder of the deal that had torn them apart. A deal she now questioned. She sank onto the steps of her small apartment, gripping the letter like it was the only thing keeping her steady. Arthur hadn't reached out. No calls, no messages. Had he already moved on? Or had he accepted her decision as final? She should do the same. And yet, her fingers hovered over her phone, his name just a tap away. Would he answer? Would she even dare? Lena's thumb hovered over Arthur's contact. She had deleted his number the night she left, but it was still burned into her memory. Her heart pounded. What would she even say? "I read your letter. Do you still love me?" "No." That would be foolish. She sighed, gripping the phone tighter. Before she could change her mind, she pressed the call button. The line rang once. Twice. Her breath caught when it clicked. A long silence stretched on the other end before a deep, familiar voice finally spoke. "Lena?" Her throat tightened. "Arthur." Another pause. This time, she could hear his sharp intake of breath. "You called." She swallowed hard. I got your letter." Silence. Then his voice rough with something unreadable. "I never meant for you to read it." Her fingers curled into her palm. "Then why send it?" "I didn't." His voice was quiet, resigned. "I left it in my study." "Someone must have." He stopped abruptly, then let out a low laugh, almost bitter. "Doesn't matter. You read it." Lena stared at the floor, her free hand gripping the letter in her lap. "You said you never wanted to let me go." "I didn't." His voice was hoarse, raw. "But you left. You took the money and a shaky exhale. You made your choice, Lena." Her eyes burned. "Did I?" Arthur went silent. Lena forced herself to continue. I thought you never loved me. That this, us, was just a transaction to you. That's what everyone said." "You think I cared about the money?" Arthur's voice sharpened. "You think I gave you 10 million to make you leave? Do you really believe that?" She bit her lip, gripping the phone tighter. "I don't know what to believe anymore." Another heavy silence. Then his voice dropped, low and pained. "Then why did you call?" Lena shut her eyes. She had asked herself the same thing. Why did she call? Because she needed answers? Because she couldn't stop thinking about him? Because she wasn't ready to let go? Finally, she whispered, "Because I think I made a mistake." Arthur sucked in a sharp breath. Lena's heart pounded. "Can we meet?" Seconds passed. Then a minute. The silence was unbearable. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Tomorrow. My place." Then the call ended. Lena stared at the screen, her hands trembling. Tomorrow. Would it be the start of something new? Or the end of everything? The next evening, Lena stood outside Arthur's penthouse, her heart hammering against her ribs. She had been here countless times before, but tonight felt different. She wasn't sure if she was walking toward reconciliation or heartbreak. Taking a deep breath, she knocked. A few seconds later, the door opened, revealing Arthur. He looked different. Tired. As if sleep had been avoiding him. His shirt was slightly unbuttoned at the top, his sleeves rolled up, and there was a faint shadow of stubble on his jaw. But his dark eyes, those familiar, soul-piercing eyes, held the same intensity she had fallen for. He didn't speak. He simply stepped aside, silently inviting her in. Lena hesitated before walking inside. The air between them was thick with emotions neither of them had the courage to voice yet. She turned to him. "Arthur." He let out a heavy breath, running a hand through his hair. "You wanted to meet?" "Yes." She clenched her hands together. "I read your letter. Every single word." His jaw tensed. "And?" Her voice wavered. "You said you never wanted to let me go." "I didn't." His gaze darkened with emotion. "But you left me anyway." Tears pricked her eyes. "I thought I was doing the right thing. That you didn't love me, that this was all just business." Arthur took a slow step closer. "Do you still believe that?" Lena shook her head.
"No."
Another step. He was so close now she could feel his warmth, smell the faint scent of his cologne. "Then why are you here, Lena?" His voice was husky, his eyes searching hers. Her breath hitched. "Because I was wrong. Because I still—" She hesitated, but his piercing gaze held her captive. There was no running away this time. "Because I still love you." Arthur's breath caught. For a moment, he didn't move, just staring at her as if he wasn't sure if she was real. Then, suddenly, he closed the distance, cupping her face in his hands. "Say it again," he whispered, his forehead touching hers. Her heart raced. "I still love you." A low curse left his lips before he pulled her into a deep, desperate kiss. Lena melted against him, her fingers clutching his shirt as if he might disappear if she let go. His arms tightened around her, holding her as if he was afraid she would slip through his fingers again. When they finally broke apart, Arthur rested his forehead against hers. "Stay," he murmured, his voice hoarse. "No more running. No more doubts." Lena nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "No more running." Arthur kissed her again, softer this time, pouring every unsaid word into it. And just like that, the pain, the misunderstandings, and the regrets slowly began to fade away. Because love had found its way back. Arthur's lips pressed against hers with an urgency that made her knees weak. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a silent plea, a raw confession of everything he had held back for too long. His grip on her waist tightened, pulling her closer as if he was afraid she would disappear again. Lena gasped against his lips, her fingers curling into his shirt. His warmth surrounded her, overwhelming and intoxicating, but beneath the passion was something deeper: pain, longing, anger, love. Arthur broke the kiss, breathing heavily. His dark eyes burned into hers, filled with an emotion so intense it made her shiver. "Do you have any idea what you did to me?" His voice was rough, his fingers brushing against her cheek, almost trembling. Lena's heart ached. "Arthur." "No," he interrupted, his jaw clenching. "You left. You walked away without a word, without giving me a chance to explain. Do you know how that felt?" His voice cracked slightly at the end, betraying the pain he had tried so hard to conceal. Guilt crashed over her like a tidal wave. "I thought I was doing what was best." His fingers tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet his gaze. "Best for who? You?"
"Me?"
"Because it sure as hell wasn't best for us." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was scared," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "Everyone told me I was just another name on your list, that I was foolish for believing in you. And then the money," her voice broke. "I thought it was your way of getting rid of me." Arthur's expression darkened, his grip tightening slightly. "Damn the money, Lena. Do you really think I would put a price on you? On us?" Lena's breath hitched. She had spent so long convincing herself she wasn't special, that what they had wasn't real. But standing here, wrapped in his arms, feeling his pain as if it were her own, how could she still deny it? She shook her head. "I don't know what to think anymore." Arthur exhaled sharply, his thumb tracing the curve of her jaw. "Then let me tell you what's real." Before she could react, he pressed her back against the wall, caging her in with his body. His hands slid to her wrists, pinning them gently but firmly beside her. His lips hovered just inches from hers, his breath warm against her skin. "This," he murmured, his voice dark and low, "is real." His lips brushed against her cheek, then trailed down to her jaw. Lena's breath came in shallow gasps, her body betraying her as she arched toward him. "This," Arthur continued, his mouth grazing her ear, his grip tightening ever so slightly. Is what you ran away from. Her head fell back against the wall, eyes fluttering shut. Arthur. His lips hovered over hers again, but this time, he didn't kiss her. He just stared, his fingers releasing her wrists only to cup her face. I loved you, Lena. I still do. But I don't know if I can forgive you for leaving me like that. A sharp pain stabbed through her chest. Then why are you holding me like this? Because I don't know how to let you go, he admitted, voice breaking. Lena's tears finally spilled over. She reached up, gripping his wrists, grounding herself in his warmth. Then don't. Arthur's body went rigid. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to meet his gaze. Don't let me go, Arthur. Because I don't want to run anymore. Something in his expression cracked. The anger, the pain, the torment, it all melted into something raw and vulnerable. And then, without warning, he crashed his lips against hers again. This time, there was no hesitation. No second-guessing. Just them. Fighting. Breaking. Loving. And neither of them willing to let go. Arthur's kiss was searing, desperate, filled with all the words they hadn't spoken. Lena's body molded against his, her fingers tangling in his hair as she lost herself in him. But then, bang, bang, bang. A loud, urgent pounding on the front door shattered the moment. Arthur's body tensed instantly, his protective instincts kicking in. Lena gasped, her heart slamming against her ribs as reality came crashing back. Arthur Hastings. Open up. A deep, authoritative voice boomed from outside. Lena's eyes widened in alarm. Who? Arthur cursed under his breath and quickly stepped away, running a hand through his already messy hair. He turned to her, his expression dark and unreadable. Stay here. Before she could argue, he strode to the door and yanked it open. Two men in black suits stood there, their expressions cold and formal. Behind them, two more guards waited, their stance rigid. The energy in the air was heavy, dangerous. Lena's stomach twisted with unease. Mr. Hastings, the man in front said, his voice clipped. Your father requests your presence. Immediately. Arthur's entire body went still. His jaw clenched, a muscle ticking as if he was holding back a storm of emotions. I told him I was done with his business. The man didn't even blink. It's not a request. Lena watched as something shifted in Arthur's expression, something dark, something she didn't recognize. He exhaled slowly, then turned slightly, his gaze locking onto hers. Lena. His voice was softer now, but there was an urgency behind it. Go to my room. Stay there. Don't come out. Her chest tightened. Arthur, what's going on? His hand clenched at his side. Just do as I say. Lena hesitated. She wanted to argue, to demand answers. But the tension in the air, the way the suited men carried themselves, this wasn't something small. Reluctantly, she took a step back, her heart pounding. Arthur turned back to the men, his expression cold, unreadable. Let's go. And just like that, he was gone. Lena stood frozen, her breath uneven. A strange fear crept into her chest. Who were those men? What did they mean by his father's business? And, most importantly, what was Arthur hiding from her? Lena stood there, her breath uneven as the door slammed shut behind Arthur. The silence that followed was deafening. Her mind raced. Who were those men? What kind of business was Arthur involved in? Her fingers curled into fists. Stay in his room. Hide? That wasn't happening. Ignoring Arthur's warning, Lena grabbed her coat and slipped out the back exit of his penthouse. She knew where the private elevator was, the one Arthur used when he wanted to avoid the press or uninvited guests. As the elevator descended, her heart pounded. She had no plan, no idea what she was about to walk into, but she had to know. When the door slid open at the underground parking garage, she barely had time to step aside as a sleek black car pulled away. Arthur was inside. Without thinking, Lena rushed forward, catching sight of a parked motorcycle near the exit. Its owner was nowhere in sight. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her bag. This is crazy. But crazy had already defined her relationship with Arthur. She exhaled sharply and swung a leg over the bike. She had learned how to ride years ago, just never under these circumstances. Revving the engine, she shot forward, weaving through traffic, following the black car at a safe distance. It drove across the city, heading toward the outskirts. Away from the towering skyline, away from familiar streets. Lena's stomach twisted. Where are they taking him? Finally, the car turned down a long, private road, disappearing behind high-security gates. She stopped a short distance away, her heart hammering. A massive estate loomed beyond the gates, dark, imposing, and clearly well-guarded. Arthur had never talked much about his family. Now she was beginning to understand why. Lena bit her lip. She could leave. She should leave. But she had come this far. Taking a deep breath, she spotted a path along the wall, just enough cover to sneak in. Without hesitation, she moved. And as she slipped into the shadows, she had no idea that tonight, she would uncover the darkest part of Arthur's past. Lena moved through the shadows, her heart pounding. The estate was massive, surrounded by tall security walls and patrolling guards. But she had spent years surviving on her own, learning how to blend into the darkness. She kept low, slipping past a guard stationed near the entrance. A side door was slightly ajar, a mistake or a trap. She didn't know. Taking a deep breath, she pushed it open just enough to slide inside. The air inside was thick with tension. Voices echoed from the grand hall beyond. She crept closer, pressing herself against the cold stone wall. Arthur, my son, you disappoint me. Lena's breath caught. His father? She peeked through the gap between the heavy doors. Inside, Arthur stood rigid in front of a long dining table, his jaw clenched, hands in his pockets. Across from him sat an older man, his presence commanding. His sharp features and dark eyes were eerily similar to Arthur's. Behind him, several men in suits stood, their postures stiff, guards, enforcers, whatever they were. Arthur's voice was like ice. I told you, I don't want any part of this. His father leaned back in his chair, a smirk playing at his lips. And yet, here you are. Arthur exhaled sharply. You sent men to drag me here. Don't act like I came willingly. His father ignored the bite in his tone. You think you can just walk away from your bloodline? From your responsibilities? Lena's fingers dug into the wall. Arthur's past, what was it? His father's voice darkened. You built a life, a business. But you did it with my resources. The money you used, the connections you have, you owe them to me. Arthur's fists clenched at his sides. I don't owe you anything. His father's expression turned cold. I tolerated your rebellion. I let you play your little game of independence. But enough is enough. Silence. Then his father leaned forward, voice dangerously soft. You will return to the family business, or you will lose everything. Lena's blood ran cold. What kind of business was he talking about? Arthur laughed, sharp, bitter. I'd rather burn it all to the ground than be your puppet. His father's smirk didn't falter. That's what I thought. He gestured lazily, and one of the guards stepped forward, placing a file on the table. Arthur's eyes flicked to it. Before you make any foolish decisions, his father continued, you should see what's inside. Arthur hesitated before picking it up. As he flipped it open, his entire body went rigid. Lena couldn't see the contents, but she saw the change in him. His hands trembled slightly. His breathing slowed. His father chuckled darkly. Ah, I see you recognize her. Lena froze. Her? Arthur's gaze snapped up, rage burning in his eyes. You sick bastard. His father tilted his head, amused. It's simple, Arthur. You come back where you belong, or she pays the price. Lena's pulse roared in her ears. It was her. The file contained something about her. Before she could process it, something hard pressed against the back of her head. A gun. Move. A deep voice ordered. Lena's heart stopped. She had been caught. Arthur's grip on the file tightened, his knuckles turning white. His father sat back in his chair, watching him like a predator that had cornered its prey. The dimly lit room felt suffocating. Lena's name was printed at the top of the file. Below it, photos. Surveillance shots. A picture of her outside his apartment. Another of her at a cafe, unaware she was being watched. And then a contract. A bounty. His stomach twisted violently. His father's voice was smooth, calculated. I had my men keep an eye on her. It's fascinating how one woman can bring even you to your knees. Arthur slammed the file shut. Call them off. Now. His father merely smiled. You know how this works, Arthur. Arthur's jaw clenched, so hard it ached. If you lay a finger on her. Click. The unmistakable sound of a gun being cocked made his blood turn to ice. A guard stepped forward, pressing his phone to his ear. We have her. Arthur's world narrowed. His chest burned, his pulse hammering in his ears. His father folded his hands together, amusement flickering in his gaze. Looks like your little thief followed you here. Arthur's entire body tensed. Lena, his father continued, tone almost mocking. She was foolish enough to sneak in, but that just makes things easier. Arthur's fists curled at his sides. He wanted to tear this entire place apart. Where is she? His voice was low, deadly. His father raised an eyebrow. That depends on you. Arthur's muscles coiled like a predator ready to strike. He had always known his father was ruthless. But this threatening Lena was a new low. You have two choices, his father said. Return to your place in the family, and she walks away untouched. His lips curled into a smirk. Or you refuse and she disappears. The room blurred around him. Lena, his Lena, was in danger because of him. He had fought so hard to stay away from this life. To be free. To build something of his own. But now, none of it mattered. Not if it meant losing her. Arthur inhaled sharply, forcing his voice to remain steady. I want proof she's alive. His father gestured lazily, and the guard handed Arthur a phone. The screen flickered to life. Lena was on the other end, her hands bound, a gun pressed to her side. Her wide eyes met his through the screen. Arthur. Then the call cut off. Something inside him snapped. He lifted his gaze to his father, his voice eerily calm. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Then, boom. The entire mansion trembled as an explosion ripped through the far end of the estate. The lights flickered. Shouts erupted in the hallway. Arthur smirked. His father's eyes widened slightly. What did you? Arthur rolled his shoulders. Did you really think I came here unprepared? Before anyone could react, he moved. Fast. With a swift motion, he grabbed the nearest guard's gun and fired. Chaos erupted. Arthur had one goal. Get to Lena. And nothing, not his father, not his past, not even hell itself, was going to stop him. Arthur moved like a storm, his body a blur of precision and fury. He shot down the nearest guards before they could react, his every movement calculated. Years of training, forced upon him by his father, now fueled his rage. His father had always thought he was weak. He was about to learn just how wrong he was. With the mansion in chaos from the explosion, Arthur sprinted down the hallway, taking out anyone in his path. The only thing on his mind, Lena. She had to be close. He ducked behind a column as another guard appeared, gun raised. Arthur didn't hesitate. With a sharp twist, he grabbed the man's wrist, forcing the weapon upward. A single shot fired into the ceiling. In the same motion, Arthur elbowed him hard in the ribs before delivering a brutal punch to the jaw. The guard crumpled. Arthur grabbed the man's radio. Where's the girl? A voice barked from the other end. Arthur pressed the button, lowering his voice to match the guard's. She's secured. Moving her now. Static crackled. Hurry. Orders are to relocate her to the docks. Arthur's grip tightened. The docks? His father wasn't just threatening Lena, he was trying to take her somewhere off the grid. He couldn't let that happen. His blood roared as he moved, weaving through the corridors, heart pounding harder with every second. Then, a scream. Lena's scream. Arthur ran. He burst through a heavy door, his gun raised, and his heart nearly stopped. Lena was there. Her hands were still bound, her lip bleeding, her hair a wild mess. But she wasn't giving up. She struggled against two men, twisting her body as they tried to shove her forward. One of them struck her across the face. Arthur saw red. His gun was up before the man could even turn.
Bang.
The first bullet hit the bastard right in the shoulder, making him stumble back with a strangled cry. The second man swung Lena around, using her as a human shield. "Put it down, Hastings," he snarled, pressing a gun to Lena's temple. Arthur's entire body locked. Lena's chest rose and fell rapidly, her terrified eyes locked onto his. He forced himself to stay calm, to think. But then, Lena moved. Using her bound hands, she slammed her foot down on the guard's knee, making him yelp. In that split second, Arthur fired. The bullet struck clean between the man's eyes. Lena gasped as the body slumped to the ground, the gun clattering from his grasp. Then she was in his arms. Arthur pulled her close, his hands shaking as they ran over her face, her arms, checking for injuries. "Lena, damn it, are you okay?" His voice was raw, desperate. She nodded quickly, pressing into him. "I knew you'd come." Arthur swallowed hard. He cupped her face, his thumb brushing over the small cut on her lip. His jaw clenched. "They hurt you." "It's nothing," she whispered. "We need to get out of here." Gunfire erupted outside the door. Arthur grabbed her hand, yanking her behind him. "Stay close." And then they ran. But as they turned the corner, his father stood there, flanked by more guards. The older man exhaled, almost disappointed. "You never learn, do you?" Arthur stepped in front of Lena, shielding her. His voice was ice. "You're going to regret ever touching her." Arthur's eyes burned with fury as he faced his father, the weight of years of betrayal and manipulation pressing down on him. His father smirked, tilting his head slightly. "You were always reckless, Arthur. Always letting emotions cloud your judgment." Arthur's grip on his gun tightened. "And you were always a coward, hiding behind power, using people as pawns." His father sighed, as if disappointed. "You could have had everything.
Wealth. Power.
Influence. And yet, you throw it all away for her?" His cold eyes flickered to Lena. Arthur's rage boiled over. "She's everything you'll never understand. Loyalty.
Love.
Strength." His voice was sharp, cutting through the air. "And that's exactly why I won't let you take her." His father's expression darkened. "Then you leave me no choice." He gestured, and the guards raised their guns. Arthur moved, without hesitation.
Bang. Bang. Bang.
He fired first, taking out the closest guards before they could react. The hallway erupted into chaos as bullets flew, the sharp sound echoing through the stone walls. Lena pressed against him, trusting him completely as he shielded her with his body, his movements precise and lethal.
More guards rushed in.
Arthur grabbed Lena's hand. "We need to move, now." They sprinted down the corridor, dodging gunfire, Arthur taking down anyone who got in their way. Finally, they reached a side exit. Arthur kicked the door open, the cold night air hitting them like a shock. The estate's walls loomed tall, but beyond them, freedom. Lena turned to him, her eyes filled with determination. "We're not making it out unless we stop him." Arthur hesitated. He wanted to run, to take Lena far away from this nightmare. But she was right. As long as his father lived, he would never stop hunting them. Arthur exhaled sharply. "Stay behind me." They turned back, standing in the open courtyard as the last of the guards surrounded them. And in the center of it all, his father, calm and composed. "You don't have to do this, Arthur," he said smoothly. "Come back and she lives." Arthur stared at him for a long moment. Then he raised his gun. "I already made my choice." A single shot rang out. His father staggered, clutching his chest, eyes wide with shock. Arthur didn't look away. He had no regrets. The remaining guards hesitated, uncertain. Arthur took Lena's hand, stepping back toward the shadows. "Let's go." And this time no one stopped them. They ran. Through the estate. Through the darkness. Until finally, the walls were behind them, the city lights ahead. Arthur turned to Lena, breathing hard, his hands still shaking. It's over. Lena reached up, touching his face gently. We're free. Arthur exhaled, his forehead resting against hers. I love you. Lena smiled, her eyes soft. I know. Then she pulled him down into a kiss, one filled with relief, passion, and the promise of a future together. And for the first time in years, Arthur felt alive.